Not too long ago, he activated a mysterious system, one that lets him tap into the deepest emotions of his enemies. But right now, standing in the middle of absolute chaos, that power doesn't seem all that useful. Soldiers around him are panicking. The monsters they're up against are way stronger than expected. And yet, Ceres doesn't move. Meanwhile, Bella is barely holding on. "Ceres, please, you have to escape," she pleads, but he shakes his head. No matter how bad things get, he won't abandon the city or its people. Watching from a distance, completely unbothered, is Demon Princess Yug, another weak human trying to play hero? Predictable. Yug's lips curl into a smirk. "All right, kill him. Bring me his head as a gift for my king." And just like that, the real fight begins. Without hesitation, Ceres locks onto Yug as his target and activates his system. The thick elf lunges forward, ready to crush him, but instead of attacking, she does something completely unexpected. She leans in and kisses him. For a moment, everything stops. Ceres feels a sudden surge of power rushing through his body. Bella's jaw drops in disbelief. Even the goblins, mid-charge, freeze. What is she doing?" one of them blurts out, utterly confused. Yug blinks, snapping back to reality as she pulls away immediately. What just happened? That's exactly what Ceres wanted to know. She shakes off her unease and narrows her eyes. "I was going to kill him, so why did I just—" But Ceres isn't distracted. He stands firm. "For the people of this city, I will fight until my last breath." Meanwhile, the goblins aren't focused on the fight anymore. They're straight up jealous. "Tch, the princess kissed a human?" one mutters. "Why couldn't it be one of us?" But Yug doesn't have time to deal with their complaints. Something is wrong. Her body refuses to obey her orders. She shoves those thoughts aside. "Kill him." The goblin leader charges in. With a single swing, Ceres' sword shatters like glass. His eyes widen. "What the hell? One hit?" The goblin lunges again, but this time, Ceres dodges effortlessly, his movement suddenly sharper, faster. He counters with a devastating strike, breaking their weapons like twigs. One goblin tries to sneak up from behind, but Ceres is already on it. He spins, unleashing all his strength in a single blow. The goblin is sent flying into the air, crashing down hard. Bella watches in shock. How the hell does an F rank have that kind of strength? But Ceres doesn't have time to celebrate. He grits his teeth. "These green bastards are still standing?" Suddenly, Yug moves. She slams her leg down, the sheer force shattering the ground beneath them. The impact sends shockwaves through the battlefield. As the dust settles, Yug looms over Ceres, pinning him down. A goblin seizes the moment to attack, but before it can land a hit, Yug's massive tail whips through the air, slicing clean through the creature. The goblins stagger back in confusion. "Princess, what are you doing?" one asks hesitantly. Yug glares at them. "Stay back. This human needs to learn a lesson." The goblins exchange glances but nod in unison. If their princess demands it, they won't question it. She steps closer. Droplets of saliva drip from her lips, landing on Ceres' ear. He feels his defenses rising. His body grows stronger, the system reacting to her touch. As he looks up at her, he notices something. Despite her fierce expression, Yug is struggling. Her body betrays her. She's torn between her duty as a monster and an attraction she never expected. Just as he prepares his next move, Yug strikes. Her massive tail coils around his throat, lifting him off the ground. Slowly, she pulls at his tattered t-shirt. Her emotions spiral out of control. Her heart pounds with a mix of rage, desire, and shame. "What is this? Why do I—" She clenches her jaw. She can't stop herself. Despite everything, she's drawn to him. Ceres, barely hanging on, braces himself. His armor cracks. His heartbeat thunders in his ears. He tells himself to endure, to hold out for the city's sake. But deep down, he wonders, is this really a fight he can win? Then it happens. Yug leans in again. This time, there's no hesitation, no confusion. She kisses him. Not a mistake, not an accident. A raw, intense kiss that shocks them both. But before either of them can react, the ground shakes. The Demon King has arrived. A sword slips from his grip as he takes in the scene. His voice, sharp as steel, cuts through the battlefield. "Yug!" Yug jerks back, face flushed with shock and embarrassment. The king's golden eyes lock onto Ceres. His expression twists with fury. "You kissed him?" Yug stumbles over her words. My lord, it's not what you think. Please, let me explain." But Bartley isn't listening. His rage explodes. "You disgrace me, Yug! You disgrace the throne!" His eyes narrow on Ceres, burning with murderous intent. "Human, you die here!" King Bartley, his rage boiling over, charges at Ceres, shouting with fury, "Stay away from my Yug!" In an instant, his monstrous power propels him forward, striking Ceres with such force that he's thrown high into the air, crashing hard to the ground with a sickening thud. Bella watches in horror, her voice trembling as she calls out, "Are you okay?" Ceres, gritting his teeth against the pain, responds with a strained smile, "I'm still holding on." But as he pushes himself up, a gnawing question lingers in his mind. Why did King Bartley appear now? And how is his attack power so immense? Meanwhile, Bartley, trembling with barely contained fury, turns to Yug and demands, "Didn't you say this wouldn't happen again?" Yug remains silent, and Bartley's anger flares even hotter. "Do you still remember the last words you said?" Yug, eyes blazing with defiance, snaps back, "Why did you take so long to show up? What were you doing all this time?" The shock in both Bartley and the goblins is palpable. She continues, her voice rising with each word. "It's all because of you! You led me to make the same mistake again! You messed things up, and now you dare question me, threaten me?" Bartley is taken aback, struggling to find the words to respond. His voice falters, but he tries to explain. "I saw so many humans fleeing, I had to deal with them first." One of the goblins murmurs to another, "Our king really does care about the queen. No wonder he managed to marry someone like her." Ceres, his body sore and tense, can't help but think about the vast gulf between him and the Demon King. The difference in their strength is overwhelming. As Bartley demands Yug stop crying, Ceres and Bella quietly begin to retreat, knowing that this fight is far from over. As Bartley notices Ceres and Bella trying to escape, he roars, "Why didn't you stop them?" He turns his fury on the goblins. The goblins, ever loyal, respond, "Your Highness gave the order not to interfere with their matters." Furious beyond reason, Bartley shouts, "Idiots!" and charges toward Ceres. Ceres feels a cold dread as the Demon King barrels toward him. "How dare you seduce my beloved woman?" Bartley roars, his voice shaking with rage. Before Ceres can react, Bartley kicks him, sending him flying through the air. Ceres crashes to the ground with bone-jarring force, feeling like every part of his body is shattered. As he struggles to rise, Ceres realizes there's no way he can defend against such overwhelming power. The speed of Bartley's attack was far beyond his own abilities. Bartley looms over him, promising to split him in two. "This is what you get for trying to seduce my woman," he bellows. Desperation rises in Ceres's chest. He knows he can't survive this fight unless he upgrades. With a shout, he calls out to his system, locking on and requesting a quick power boost. But before he can react further, a sharp sound rings through the air. Yug slaps Bartley with all her might, her fury matched only by her desperation. "Don't hurt him," she commands. Bartley, stunned by the slap, stumbles back. In that brief moment, Ceres takes the opportunity to run. Bartley, his voice breaking with emotion, calls after her, "Do you really care about that human?" As the realization hits him, and Ceres feels a surge of energy as his power levels increase from the emotional turmoil in the air. Ceres wonders if he could possibly stand a chance against Bartley now, but the thought is fleeting. Realizing that the fight is far from his reach, he decides the best course of action is to put distance between himself and the Demon King. Yug, her emotions a whirlwind of confusion and desire, whispers to herself, "I really need that human body." Bartley, still holding on to her hand, asks, his voice desperate, "What are you saying, Yug? I'm your lifelong love, remember?" With a violent jerk, Yug pulls away from Bartley and runs towards Ceres. She's driven by an insatiable urge, her body betraying her as she races toward the human. Ceres, sensing someone behind him, turns to find Yug leaping over him, her lips crashing against his in a passionate kiss. Bartley's heart breaks as he watches in stunned silence, his voice thick with disbelief. Yug, lost in the moment, doesn't care. She pulls Ceres closer, her tail coiling around him as she deepens the kiss. Her body, so filled with conflicting emotions, still finds an odd sense of joy in this act. Bella, trying to intervene, screams at Yug to stop, but the demon princess pays her no mind. Yug, lost in her own desires, holds Bella in place with her tail, and once again she kisses Ceres, her lips trailing along his as she wonders why she's acting like this. The answer is simple. Deep down, she feels something for him, something she can't quite control. Bartley, his heart shattered, shouts one last time, "I won't give in! I won't lose her to a human!" but his voice is a hollow echo in the face of the reality unfolding before him. Ceres, with a swift motion, unsheathed his sword and unleashed his new skill, Swift Body Slash. In an instant, Bartley was defeated, his form collapsing to the ground in defeat. Yug stood frozen, stunned by the overwhelming power of the single strike. Ceres, wondering if he should continue upgrading and acquiring new skills, was briefly interrupted by Yug's voice, frustrated and unimpressed. "Bartley was weak," she muttered. "I knew he wouldn't last." But before they could process the victory, Bartley suddenly lunged toward Yug, grabbing her with terrifying speed. Startled, Yug's grip on Bella loosened. "Die!" Bartley shouted, his eyes wild with madness. Meanwhile, Yug, tears streaming down her face, cried out, pleading with Bartley to release her. In a moment of sheer panic, she cried, "Who will save me?" Without warning, Ceres appeared before her. With a swift motion, he severed Bartley's hands, grabbed Yug, and dashed away from the impending explosion. Bartley's final heart-wrenching cry echoed through the air as he self-destructed. The earth trembled, and the ground beneath them shattered, sending the three of them plummeting into the depths below. The world spun as they fell, and when they finally hit the ground, Yug landed on top of Ceres. Dazed and disoriented, Ceres wondered aloud if they had just reached the bottom of the dungeon. His musings were interrupted by a flicker of movement. A salamander appeared before them. To his surprise, Ceres's system identified it as Yug's salamander form. Before he could react, Yug dashed into hiding, seeking refuge in the folds of Ceres's pants. Meanwhile, Bella began to stir, groggily wondering about Ceres. At that moment, Ceres received a notification from his system, "Dungeon map detected." Uncertain whether to open it, Ceres hesitated, but his attention was diverted when he realized Bella was in an awkward position above him. Flustered, she quickly scrambled away, apologizing for the unintended proximity. Ceres, now feeling a bit awkward himself, opened the map. His eyes scanned the detailed layout, dead ends, traps, hidden resources. A sense of relief washed over him. With the map, he could now navigate the dungeon with confidence. Bella, confused, asked what he was looking at. Ceres quickly dismissed it, pretending nothing was amiss. But in his mind, he realized that the map was something only he could see. Suddenly, a sharp pain pierced his chest, and Ceres doubled over in agony, vomiting a strange purple substance, blood or poison he couldn't tell. His little finger began to shrivel, consumed by flickering flames. The pain intensified, his body writhing as it was slowly engulfed by fire. Bella, terrified, rushed to his side, wrapping her arms around him, trying to comfort him as she held his hand. As she pulled him close, half of his little finger flew off, burnt away by the flames. Despite the pain, Ceres managed a strained smile, trying to reassure Bella. "I'll be fine," he gasped through clenched teeth, but Bella was not convinced. "Why is it melting like that?" she asked, her voice full of concern. Ceres took a deep breath and began to explain, his voice faltering with the weight of the memory. "6 months ago, I witnessed a battle between several monsters and a hero from the guild. They were fighting over a mysterious box. When one of the monsters slashed it open, there was an explosion, and blood rained down from the sky." He paused, his voice thick with the pain of the memory. "I was thrown into the ruins by the blast, and the blood rain. It fell all around us. The smell was overpowering like poison. People screamed in agony, burning from the contact." Ceres continued, his tone distant. "I didn't touch the rain directly, but I think I inhaled the fumes. My back began to hurt, and it's been like this ever since, poisoned by the air. When he woke up in the hospital, his system had given him a warning. The blood of the demon lord could cure the poison. He'd agreed to the quest, and that's when he learned the blood was in the Nay dungeon. With renewed determination, Ceres stood up, pushing past the pain. "We need to go," he said, gesturing towards a nearby room. "There's a place ahead with clothes and weapons. We should change first." Bella nodded, still worried, but followed him as they moved toward the room, ready for whatever lay ahead in the dungeon's depths. The scene shifted to another part of the dungeon, where a group of adventurers carefully made their way through the dimly lit corridors. At the front of the group, a man stepped forward, unaware that his foot had just triggered a deadly trap. A laser ray shot out from the floor, narrowly missing him. "Step back!" barked Vice Captain Mark, his voice sharp with urgency. "It's a mechanism! Don't move unless I say so! One wrong step and we're all dead!" The group froze, horrified by the sudden danger. Cyrus, the group leader, surveyed the scene with a cold, calculating gaze. "This dungeon isn't easy to crack," he muttered. "Makui, get up here. You're the lowest rank, so you should be the one to figure this out." Makui, his face pale, tried to retreat, but Cyrus's voice cut through the air like a whip. "Get back here! Find the right route, or you'll regret it!" Makui flinched, terrified of the consequences but unable to speak. Tyre, an archer, stepped forward, a bow in hand. "I can make an arrow that bounces and explores the path," he suggested. But before he could even notch the arrow, Cyrus slashed it in half with a single motion. "Don't waste my time with your shoddy creations," he growled. "If I see that again, I'll wipe you out myself." Tyr said nothing, his frustration simmering beneath the surface. Cyrus turned his attention back to Makui. "You've got no choice. Move," he ordered. Shaking, Makui took a hesitant step forward, his heart pounding in his chest. The floor was littered with potential traps, and each step felt like it could be his last. He paused, unsure of where to place his foot next. "Make a decision, Makui," Cyrus snapped, his patience wearing thin. With a trembling breath, Makui carefully moved his foot to the next step. Miraculously, nothing happened. The mechanism lay dormant. Cyrus nodded, a rare praise in his voice. "Good, keep going." But Makui couldn't shake the feeling that death was just one wrong move away. His thoughts spiraled with panic. On the verge of breaking down, Makui cried out, "I don't want to die! I just want to go home!" His voice was desperate, pleading for the torment to end. But as his foot touched the next step, the laser ray shot out, instantly disintegrating him in a flash of light. The group was left in stunned silence, their faces pale with shock. "That's the thing with these traps," Mark murmured. "The attack location changes every time, and it always comes without warning." Just as they were about to move forward with their plan, the door behind them suddenly creaked open. Ceres and Bella stepped out, looking as if they'd been caught in the middle of something. Cyrus's eyes widened, his face twisting in disbelief. "What are you doing here? The decoy team was supposed to be eliminated," he said, his voice dangerously low. "Did you disobey orders and escape?" Cyrus demanded, anger flashing in his eyes. "And tell me, how do you know the color of my wife's underwear? Have you been spying on her?" Ceres, tense and unyielding, responded, "I can perceive the color of everything around me. It's just instinct." Before Cyrus could retort, one of his teammates stepped in, urging him to calm down. The situation was escalating quickly, and tempers were flaring. Suddenly, Ceres shouted, his voice filled with conviction, "I'll never let you slander my integrity." He turned to Cyrus and boldly declared, "The first person wasn't even wearing underwear, and you're wearing pink, while the others have their own choices in attire." Cyrus's teammates murmured, some urging him to just eliminate Ceres. Others, however, suggested putting Ceres into the bait group, figuring it would eliminate their need to interfere with his fate directly. Ceres, confused by the turn of events, wondered why he was encountering a raiding party instead of being given the chance to exchange equipment. Before he could voice his thoughts, Cyrus barked an order. "Come here, Ceres. You'll lead the way now." Ceres couldn't help but wonder if this meant the lower-level members would have to walk through the traps once again. Tyr spoke up, advising Ceres to follow their current route to avoid triggering the mechanisms, but Cyrus was unbothered. "We've sacrificed enough for this. No turning back now." Cyrus's gaze fixed on Ceres, a sharp warning in his eyes. Ceres, hesitant, glanced over at Bella, her face etched with concern. Still, Ceres straightened and stepped forward. "I'll go," he said, his voice steady. Cyrus gave the order. Without missing a beat, Ceres took the first step forward. The group watched in awe, unsure how he could move so confidently through a path that had already claimed the life of their comrade. As Ceres made his way forward, the map in his system guided him step by step, and the group was left in stunned silence. They couldn't understand how he was avoiding the traps. Cyrus narrowed his eye, sensing Ceres's pause. "Do you see the traps?" he asked. But Ceres shook his head. "I'm just following the path," Ceres replied, his tone calm. The group couldn't comprehend how Ceres was succeeding where Makui had failed. When Ceres jumped to avoid a step, they assumed it was sheer luck. But as he continued forward, the map confirmed his path, telling him to take 5 more steps. Ceres smiled as he approached the end of the path. "It's all thanks to my training," he said. "And as for Shin, I have no involvement." Still, Cyrus was skeptical. He unsheathed his sword and placed it against Ceres's neck, eyes burning with distrust. "Luck or not, I don't believe in your so-called intuition. Prove it." Lead us the rest of the way. Ceres suddenly spots some mushrooms. When consumed by monsters, they boost stamina, but if a human eats them, they might end up with diarrhea. Ceres wonders if Yug is hungry, thinking about picking the mushrooms for her, but instead, he decides to grab some for himself. Cyrus notices Ceres about to eat them and asks what he's doing. Before Ceres can explain, Cyrus snatches the mushrooms, declaring that all resources belong to the Heroes Guild and the Crusade Squad. Cyrus orders Cyrus to move to the front, but Ceres points out that there are no traps behind the door. Still, Cyrus insists he should go ahead and open it, unwilling to let his team take any risks. Ceres approaches the door, about to open it when Cyrus orders everyone to stay alert. But just then, Cyrus starts feeling ill. Ceres opens the door easily, while Tyr, ever cautious, urges everyone to stay alert for anything unexpected. Soon, the air around Cyrus grows foul. Ceres moves further inside, but Cyrus, his stomach churning, shouts to ask what's in there. He's tense, wondering why his stomach is acting up at such a crucial moment. Suddenly, it hits him. The mushroom. He tells everyone there are traps ahead. Ceres starts running, urging his teammates to keep up. Cyrus yells that he's not allowed to run and walk slowly. But as they move, Cyrus's stomach trouble worsens. He's now releasing gas uncontrollably. The stench fills the air and everyone starts to panic, thinking something dangerous is behind them. The group quickens its pace, commenting on how the smell feels oddly familiar. Embarrassed, Cyrus yells at them to stop talking nonsense and focus on running. Ceres slows down, exhausted. Cyrus, furious, demands to know if Ceres intentionally made him eat the mushrooms. Ceres responds that he didn't know. A teammate suggests Cyrus rest, but he kicks him away, insisting they keep moving forward. Cyrus points his sword at Ceres, warning him that if he dares run again, he'll strike him down. Ceres keeps moving, reminding everyone about the traps and the dragon sleeping nearby. Ceres wonders if they're nearing the final stretch. Cyrus, however, is puzzled that no traps have triggered as they go deeper into the dungeon. He begins to wonder, could Ceres have been here before? But he quickly dismisses it, thinking, that can't be true. Ceres cuts in, saying they must be nearing the boss's room. Cyrus, now suspicious, thinks that Ceres has no value left if they've reached the boss. With a determined look, Cyrus draws his sword and channels a bit of magic, slicing through a sharp-pointed object. He smiles, thinking it'd be a fitting, if accidental, death for an F-level dungeon explorer. But just as he does, the monster strikes, its tail slamming into Cyrus. The group panics, shouting to check if Cyrus is okay, but the creature's attack sends the beast around them instead. The dungeon trembles as a wall forms, trapping Ceres on the other side. He realizes it's over. He's stuck. Then from behind, a voice calls out, asking why there's a human in the dungeon. Ceres turns to see a woman standing there, a stranger. Her name is Sadiel. B+, the monster under Sadiel's control, looms before Cyrus and his team. Tyr quickly shouts orders, commanding the tankers to block the creature's movements and prepare for battle. The archers take aim and release a volley of arrows, striking the beast. Tyr urges them to keep firing, but the monster suddenly roars, releasing a shockwave of force that repels every arrow shot at it. The power of the roar makes it difficult for anyone to stand their ground. Tyr is shocked as the monster's sheer strength renders their attacks ineffective. Cyrus tries to rally the group, reminding them that it's just one monster, and they can defeat it. Meanwhile, Ceres wonders if the voice he's hearing belongs to yet another monster lurking nearby. Out of nowhere, a massive scorpion tail swings towards Ceres. With quick reflexes, he narrowly dodges the attack, puzzled about what he's facing. The scorpion lunges again, but Ceres avoids it once more. I hope you can handle this, Ceres mutters, gathering 3,190 attack power into his fist. With a single blow, he strikes the scorpion puppet, tearing a hole through its body. Slowly, its pieces explode outward, scattering in all directions. Sadiel watches, impressed by Ceres's strength. Despite his success, Ceres feels frustrated and considers escaping to conserve his energy for more important battles. Sadiel, unfazed, comments, "It doesn't matter. I used the monster to twist your face, but now I'll do it myself." Ceres is stunned as he realizes she controls a female monster. Ceres retorts, "My head isn't something you can easily twist off." Sadiel sneers, "I wouldn't dare touch your disgusting body." She reveals that she's controlling the scorpion puppets with strings attached to her hands. "I'll deal with you first," she says coldly. "Then, I'll finish off the others." Ceres, filled with determination, declares, Protecting humanity is my duty. I'll fight you with everything I've got. Sadiel attacks, asking mockingly, "Is that so?" She pins Sirius's head to the ground with one powerful leg, forcing him to fall. His system activates, locking onto her as the target. She dismisses him with a cold laugh. "A guy like you means nothing to me." Meanwhile, the scorpion puppet stops fighting. Tyre, noticing this, cheers. "Look, the monster's head is turning red. Our attacks are finally working." Ceres, now struggling under Sadiel's relentless pressure, is shocked by her speed. Sadiel casually remarks, "It's impressive that you made it this far, but Lord Nay despises you." She presses her second leg onto his face, and Ceres realizes just how strong she is. With no time to waste, he pulls his head back and snaps, biting her foot. Sadiel recoils in disgust, shouting, "Ugh, that's revolting!" Bella, sensing the fight has stalled too long, decides to act. "I need to get him out of there," she thinks, determined to help. She calls to Tyre, asking him to cover her as she rushes forward, her heart pounding with hope that Ceres is still holding on. The scorpion puppet, noticing Bella, prepares to strike, but Tyr steps in, blocking the attack with his sword. It's difficult, but he holds firm. Bella continues running, thinking it's just a pile of rocks. Ceres has to be fine. Sadiel, growing disgusted, loosens her grip on Ceres. With a surge of strength, Ceres finally breaks free from her headlock, breathing a sigh of relief. Ceres's system warns him that he can't use the instant kill skill without a weapon, sending a wave of frustration through him. He throws a punch at Sadiel, but she effortlessly dodges, landing a swift kick to his face. The blow sends him flying, crashing into a stone. Sadiel, feeling an odd sense of satisfaction, muses that she enjoys kicking him and wonders what's happening to her. With a flick of her wrist, she quickly defeats him. Grabbing the tail of the puppet monster, she prepares for another attack. Ceres, ever agile, sees the tail coming and dodges it with ease. He channels magic into his hand and slices the tail into 2 clean parts. But Sadiel isn't done yet. She strikes again, locking his face with her leg. With a wicked smile, Sadiel gloats, "I won't let you go this time." Ceres, furious, retaliates, gripping her legs in an attempt to break free and show her his strength. Sadiel feels something strange when he touches her and quickly jumps away. But before he can react, she stomps on his face, using the cut pieces of the tail to hold his hand down. Ceres, stunned, realizes that the tail he'd just destroyed is now holding him. Her suppression is so overwhelming that he can barely move. As she presses down on him, her power only seems to grow, and he struggles to defend himself. She smirks, telling him, "Humans are born to be trampled." Meanwhile, the puppet monster fighting Tyr outside starts losing its balance. The team senses victory is within reach. Sadiel revels in her dominance over Ceres, while Bella races toward the stones. Tyr, noticing the danger, shouts at Bella to be careful, but it's too late. The scorpion tail strikes, and Bella is hit. Ceres, still pinned by Sadiel, shouts at her to stop touching him inappropriately. The tail swings toward Cyrus, but he manages to dodge it. However, even from a distance, he notices the tail's power, able to break through walls with ease. Sadiel, pleased with her work, feels her agitation rise to 95%. As the scorpion puppet begins twitching and halting its attack, Cyrus realizes the moment has come. The puppet seems to be distracted, and the chance for a counterattack is right before him. Seizing the opportunity, Cyrus unleashes his roaring tiger sever. The massive force of the attack sends the scorpion puppet flying, crashing to the ground in defeat. Cheers erupt from the team, praising Cyrus for his strength and precision. The agitation value of the monster climbs to 98%, and it begins vomiting violently. The team believes Cyrus's attack has caused the monster such pain that it's now in agony. The praise continues to flow for Cyrus, and he steps forward, calmly requesting that everyone step aside. "Let me handle the rest of this," he declares, ready to finish the job and deal with the scorpion puppet once and for all. Sadiel feels a strange tension within herself, wondering why she's behaving so oddly with a human body. The emotions cloud her focus, but she decides to push them aside and stay calm. Meanwhile, Ceres fights to maintain his resilience, particularly his legs, which are growing weaker by the second. If this continues, she'll drain him completely. Ceres, refusing to back down, shouts that he'll never submit. But Sadiel silences him, pushing her leg forcefully into his mouth, demanding he shut up. She doesn't want to hear him. Ceres feels a familiar sensation, something similar to what he experienced with Yug, and realizes that the girls are playing with him. But despite this, his powers grow rapidly, his strength increasing by over 2,000 points with each passing moment. Outside, the scorpion puppet battles Cyrus, but Sadiel, distracted by her own emotions, isn't controlling it with full power. Seeing his opportunity, Cyrus unleashes his sacred whirlwind slash, defeating the puppet in a single strike. The team erupts into celebration, but the celebration is short-lived. Tyre even praises him, claiming that Cyrus defeated the puppet with a single blow. Back with Cyrus, his defenses rise by 3,340 points, and his agility shoots up by an astounding 4,210 points. Sadiel, still enjoying the moment, suddenly hears Lord Nay's voice, questioning the noise outside. Startled, Sadiel leaps off Cyrus and retreats, realizing she almost forgot Nay's command to eliminate the humans. She knows she has to correct her mistake, and quickly. Meanwhile, Cyrus's attack power surges by 10,000 points, a deadly aura surrounding him as his killing intent grows. He glares at Sadiel, asking coldly if she still wants to continue. Sadiel feels the shift in his presence, sensing the same oppressive energy that Nay exudes. Her body tenses with unease. Without another word, she flees, but Cyrus is left confused for a moment. He briefly considers chasing her but decides against it, focusing instead on reaching the demon god's blood in the boss room. He conserves his energy, knowing Sadiel has already drained him enough. The group, still celebrating Cyrus's victory, watches as Bella rushes toward the rock walls, intent on finding Cyrus. Just as she approaches, Cyrus bursts through the wall, surprising her. She looks him over and asks if he's okay, noting that although he looks fine, he's covered in dust and might have internal injuries. Cyrus reassures her with a simple, "I'm fine." But Bella insists that he let the medical team check him. Cyrus reluctantly agrees, giving a quiet, "okay." From a distance, Tyr watches, his fists clenched in barely contained fury, his feelings for Bella clearly evident. Cyrus then steps forward, addressing the group. He announces that they will follow him, as he plans to defeat the boss alone. The team is in awe, praising their captain's strength. Cyrus, feeling confident, figures that the dungeon's danger level is likely closer to a D rank. He believes his achievements here will earn him a well-deserved promotion in the guild. Meanwhile, in Lord Nay's room, Sadiel reports the unexpected news. A very powerful human is outside. His strength has surged to unimaginable levels, and she warns Nay to be cautious when facing him. Nay, in a tense voice, demands to know why Sadiel has disobeyed her orders. Before Sadiel can explain herself, Nay fires a blast of energy that rips right through her, instantly defeating her. Nay's voice rings out, cold and unforgiving. "I don't want to hear your excuses." With a flick of her magic, she lifts Sadiel's unconscious body and tosses her onto a pile of corpses. "You'll become firewood," she sneers. A strange pond of green liquid begins to form beneath Sadiel's still body. As she murmurs in fear, "I don't want to die," Nay coldly observes that the blood of the demon god has begun to boil, fueled by the countless humans and monsters sacrificed. Suddenly, the door to Nay's room bursts open. Nay spins around, demanding to know who dares to enter. Her eyes widen when she sees who it is. Cyrus stands in the doorway, a confident grin on his face. "It's me," he declares, his voice filled with mocking authority. "Your daddy! And I'm here to beat you down." Cyrus sees the demon god's blood, and his system alerts him that it can detoxify him. Nay, eyeing the powerful aura around Cyrus, asks if he's the human Sadiel mentioned. Cyrus wonders if the green blood could be the antidote he's been seeking. Cyrus stands tall, commanding his team's attention. He declares he'll take on the C-rank dungeon boss alone, and his teammates cheer, eager to witness the might of a human. However, to Cyrus's shock, the object on the platform isn't the monster, but the very blood of the demon god itself. Without hesitation, Cyrus charges toward Nay, but she quickly counters, unleashing a devastating attack. A blinding yellow light sears through Cyrus's A-rank armor, sending him crashing into a nearby wall. His teammates rush to check on him, while Nay mocks the humans, claiming Sadiel was useless to her. Cyrus, though stunned by the blast, realizes the attack has completely shattered his armor with a single strike. Thankfully, His S-rank soft dragon scale armor underneath remains intact, but the experience leaves him shaken. His mind races. Why are the monsters so powerful, and what is happening within this dungeon? Instead of attacking head-on, he decides to wear down Nay's forces first, using his team's strength before stepping in for the final blow. Despite the pain, Cyrus stands, his resolve hardening. He orders his team to charge forward, but Tyr interrupts, calmly suggesting they stick to their original formation to minimize casualties. Furious, Cyrus demands Tyr's obedience, but Tyr, ever the calm strategist, chooses not to defy him. Cyrus gives a sharp command for everyone to pick up their weapons, assuring them of his unwavering support. Nay, seeing the humans attempt to regroup, scoffs and prepares for her next assault. She unleashes a blast so fierce that it incinerates most of Cyrus's team in an instant. Ciri, quick on his feet, manages to pull Bella and Mark out of harm's way, but many are left injured, some burned beyond recognition. Cyrus barely avoids the blast, but his sword is reduced to ash in his hand. Shocked and realizing the odds are against him, Cyrus calls for a retreat. The surviving members of his team begin to flee, but Tyr, his expression filled with rage, sees Cyrus trying to escape. To his surprise, Ciri grabs Cyrus's hand, refusing to let him go. Cyrus tries to shake him off, demanding that Ciri stay and die if he wishes, but as captain, his command is law. Ciri's grip is unwavering. Fury surges through Cyrus and he attempts to break free, but Ciri twists his hand, causing pain to shoot through his arm. In a swift movement, Ciri pulls him closer and lifts him up. Ciri's voice rings out with determination. As captain, you should follow your own words. With that, as Nay prepares another beam, Ciri hurls Cyrus toward it, telling him to block the attack with his body to cover the retreat. Cyrus crashes into the beam, the impact knocking him back and giving his team precious seconds to escape. His teammates scatter, and one of them is left stunned by what they've just witnessed. Cyrus, badly injured, Ciri turns toward Nay, fury in his eyes. Now, it's my turn. Bella and Tyr, ever loyal, decide to stay and fight. Bella, standing firm, pledges her loyalty to Ciri, while Tyr, the B-class hero, vows to eliminate the monsters and never follow Cyrus again. Meanwhile, Nay eyes Ciri, wondering why he doesn't flee, despite knowing her power. "Are you looking down on me?" she sneers. Without waiting for a response, she launches another deadly beam. Ciri, faster than ever, counters with a swift body slash, forcing Nay to hesitate for just a moment. The fury in her eyes intensifies. Realizing that Ciri isn't only fighting her, he's headed for the altar with the demon god's blood. Nay's mind races, wondering if Ciri's true goal isn't defeating her but claiming the blood for himself. Ciri's races toward the altar, only a few meters away from his goal. Nay yells, ordering him to stay away from her altar, but in that moment, Bella and Tyr strike from behind, seizing the opportunity to attack. To their surprise, Nay easily blocks both their swords, then turns her attention to Cyrus, calling him a cockroach for his speed. "Dare not attack Cyrus!" Bella shouts defiantly. Tyr and Bella push against Nay, but just as she launches an attack, her foot slips slightly, causing her aim to falter. Cyrus dodges the misdirected blast just in time and leaps forward, thinking he's about to reach the altar. However, as Cyrus gets closer, he sees a glowing magic array and tenses. The moment his hand touches it, a violent blast erupts, sending him flying backward. Nay smirks, explaining that she personally crafted the magic array. No living creature can cross it as long as she's alive. Cyrus reluctantly admits that charging ahead to drink the demon god's blood won't work. They'll need to defeat the boss to proceed. As he regains his footing, Cyrus notices something strange in the gaps of the walls. Meanwhile, Nay, infuriated, throws Bella and Mark aside, calling them arrogant fools for underestimating her power. Bella and Tyr crash to the ground, slightly injured but still conscious. Cyrus is momentarily distracted by the sight of the female monster slipping past him. He wonders how she managed to escape and, to his surprise, hears her trembling voice asking him to stay quiet, warning him not to alert Nay. She adds that her ritual requires calmness and that he should suppress his anger until after they're all wiped out. Cirrus tenses, realizing that Bella is in danger. Before rushing to her aid, he places the kale mushroom near Sadiel. She looks at the mushroom curiously before eating it, tears of joy welling in her eyes. Cirrus's system alerts him that Sadiel, having developed feelings for the host, has unlocked new weapon options for him. Mysterious cards with question marks appear, and the system urges Cirrus to review the weapon rules. Cirrus, his mind focused on saving his teammates, commands the system to skip the explanation. "I don't have time for this," he mutters, his eyes already fixed on the battle ahead. The system complies, skipping the details and prompting him to choose a card. Cirrus selects one at random, and a sword with red energy swirling around it materializes in his hand. The system declares he's obtained the exploding garment divine sword. Fueled by rage, Cirrus charges at Nay, taunting her to face his newfound power. As he swings the sword, Nay effortlessly catches it with one hand, laughing. "You fell for it, didn't you?" she taunts. "Bella and Tyr were just bait, and you were the real target all along." With a smirk, Nay unleashes her light beam attack, mocking Cirrus for thinking he could escape at such close range. Cirrus shouts defiantly, "I never said I was going to dodge!" With a roar, he swings his sword with all his might, but the blade merely scratches Nay's hand. She laughs, unimpressed. "Is that all? Even with all your strength, you've only grazed me. This is the difference between monsters and humans." But in the heat of the moment, Cirrus notices something unexpected. Nay's dress suddenly tears from above, leaving her exposed. Shocked, she looks down and asks in embarrassment, "Where did my dress go?" Both Bella and Tyr avert their eyes, equally stunned by the sight. Cirrus stands tense, realizing just how powerful Nay truly is. The system, ever helpful, provides an explanation. The exploding garment divine sword causes the clothes of enemies to explode upon contact. Once they're naked, it triggers the ultimate move, the divine sword descent. Nay's face twists with fury at what she considers a despicable tactic. Cirrus lunged at Nay again, his sword poised for a decisive strike, but she dodged effortlessly, leaving him stunned. He had believed his previous attack had hit her palm, causing her clothes to tear open. All he needed was one more strike to strip her completely, remove her face mask, and trigger his ultimate move. Confident in his approach, Cirrus charged at Nay, preparing to unleash his swift body slash. The system, however, issued a warning. Only 6 uses of swift body slash remained, with a 10-second cooldown. The skill could instantly target a fresh enemy, but Cirrus couldn't help but feel a twinge of disappointment. Despite the doubt, he refused to turn off the skill, pressing forward. As he neared Nay, he attacked once more, but she was quick, dodging his strike with ease. Frustration built in Cirrus as he realized his missed opportunity. Meanwhile, Nay couldn't help but wonder why he kept targeting her legs instead of her exposed upper body. Was he trying to strip her entirely? Cirrus pressed the attack again, but Nay retaliated with a powerful kick to his face. The impact sent him crashing to the ground, pain shooting through his skull as his nasal bone nearly shattered. Despite the intense agony, Cirrus pushed the pain aside, recalling the excruciating sensation of his body melting from the toxin breakout. The nasal injury paled in comparison. Fueled by rage, Cirrus got back to his feet, charging toward Nay. The seconds stretched like an eternity as the timer ticked down, and as it reached its final moment, Cirrus was ready. Nay tried to fire a laser beam at him, but Cirrus deftly dodged and used swift body slash, believing he'd landed the hit. But to his shock, he struck her tail instead as she soared into the air. Nay smirked, revealing the truth. She hadn't been running at all. She could have easily defeated him, but her fear of exposing herself had held her back. Cirrus, growing increasingly tense, saw Nay prepare another laser beam. He tried to dodge again, but realized his swift body slash was still on cooldown. Frustrated, he rushed forward and slashed at her with his sword. The clash between his blade and her beam created a massive explosion, leaving Tyr stunned. How is he blocking that with F-rank combat abilities? He muttered in disbelief. Cirrus, laughing despite the chaos, marveled at the sword's true power. He taunted Nay, boasting that he could counter her attacks and render them useless. Nay, however, wasn't deterred. She acknowledged it was difficult to kill him, but turned her attention to Bella, targeting the injured girl. Cirrus's heart sank as Nay explained that eliminating Bella would be easy and unleashed a beam toward her. Without thinking, Cirrus used swift body slash, aiming for Nay's finger. He succeeded in breaking her nail, but it was too late. Bella was in danger. Ceres rushed forward, desperate to protect her. Nay laughed, mocking him for trying to play the hero, warning that heroes always die by the villain's hand. She attacked with her other hand, catching Ceres off guard. Realizing time was running out, Ceres quickly used swift body slash on Bella, blocking Nay's strike. The impact shattered Bella's armor, leaving Ceres and Tyr stunned. Nay, shocked, saw that Ceres had dodged her attack yet again. As she prepared for another strike, something strange happened. The altar seemed to react, and Nay's attention shifted. In her distraction, she realized she had neglected to add firewood to keep the demon god's blood warm. If she didn't act quickly, all her efforts would be wasted, and she'd have to wait another century to try again. Meanwhile, Bella began acting strangely, a warmth spreading through her body as she felt an unfamiliar attraction to Ceres. The system noted that her agitation level had risen to 91%, indicating her growing feelings for him. Bella moved closer, her eyes softening as she gently cupped Ceres's face, as if about to kiss him. The tension in the air was palpable, and Ceres couldn't help but notice the shift in her demeanor. Ceres froze, stunned, as Bella nearly kissed him in the heat of battle. The moment, intense and unexpected, triggered a flashback. He recalled when Bella was just 8 years old, her bold, questioning gaze and her teasing remark, "Have you ever seen a gorgeous woman, Ceres? Ever wanted to kiss one?" In the present, Ceres quickly pulled away from Bella, a flustered look crossing his face. "I don't want to kiss you," he muttered awkwardly. Tyr, noticing Bella's flushed face and the sweat dripping down her body, frowned. He suspected Bella might be hallucinating or under some kind of poison. His concern deepened, but Ceres barely noticed, his focus narrowing on Nay. Meanwhile, Nay, absorbed in her ritual, continued to prepare the altar. The demon god's blood, crucial to her plan, was close to burning dry. She was determined to prevent another long wait, oblivious to the growing tension behind her. Ceres knew the stakes were high. If he didn't stop Nay soon, everything they'd fought for would be lost. He began to prepare his ultimate attack, the explosive garment, divine sword. But to make it work, he needed Bella's help. Desperate, he turned to her, his voice laced with urgency. "If we do something romantic, like kissing or cuddling, my power will increase," Ceres explained, his words out before he could take them back. Tyr, overhearing, shot Ceres a glare. "What do you think you're doing, trying to take advantage of her in the middle of a battle?" Tyr accused, fury in his eyes. "Bella, don't listen to him!" But Bella, to everyone's surprise, stood her ground. She looked Tyr in the eye and then turned to Ceres. "I trust him," she said firmly. "I trust Ceres, but I'm only helping to defeat the monster, not because of anything romantic." Ceres's mind whirled with memories of the past, when as a child, he had rejected Bella's affection, pushing her away in horror. The sting of that rejection resurfaced, making his heart heavy. Just then, Mark's voice echoed in his mind, and Ceres received an alert from his system. His level had increased by 1, with all his stats boosted by 5,000 points. Relief washed over him as he realized he didn't need to go through with the plan to gain power. "Forget it," Ceres muttered, brushing off Bella's offer. "I don't need your help." But Bella, with a touch of sadness in her eyes, insisted, "I want to help you." Ceres shook his head and turned away, not meeting her gaze. "No, you stay out of this." He sprinted toward Nay, feeling an ache in his chest as Bella stood there, her heart breaking. Tyr, still confused, watched Bella's retreating figure. "You like him, don't you?" he asked, a note of bitterness in his voice. "Is that why? Because he's stronger than me?" Bella shook her head, her voice steady. "No, it's not about that," she replied quietly. Boosted by his newfound strength, Ceres focused on taking down Nay. The time had come to strike, and he needed to make it count. He would target her head and legs simultaneously, using swift body slash to maximize the damage. Meanwhile, Nay, frustrated by the altar's growing heat, continued adding human bodies to fuel the flames, her power escalating. She mocked Ceres, telling him he should be proud to become the firewood for her sacrifice. Then, with a flick of her wrist, she unleashed a massive energy ball straight at him. Ceres braced for impact, struggling to block the attack. His magic points plummeted as he fought to hold on, and in a matter of seconds, he found himself with only 11 magic points left. Despite this, he managed to deflect the blast, barely, leaving him drained and powerless.